I think he wants to hear.
All right. Time is now 6:01 p.m. This work session of the Selma City Council is hereby called to order. At this time, we're going to ask Councilman Jemison to please offer us a word of invocation for Councilman.
Almighty God, we thank you for the thank you, God, and us be a part of the city, making decisions, proper decisions, right decisions for the citizens of Selma. Thank you for the mayor, city council president, all the city council members that keep us healthy and keep us strong. Thank you for all the citizens of Selma, for your guidance, the leadership, the patience with us. In your precious name, Almighty God, we thank you.
Amen. Thank you. Let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. You may be seated. All right, now we'll have our roll call for the evening. Council President Young, present. Councilman Harville, Councilwoman Christy Thomas, Councilman Carmichael, Councilwoman Lisa James, Councilman Samuel Randolph, Councilman Anthony Jemison,
Here.
Councilwoman Janie Thomas, and Councilman Michael Johnson. All right, thank you for everybody that's here for this evening's work session. We'll get right into it. We don't have any citizens' requests for tonight, so we'll move on to our announcements to the council. At this time, are there any announcements? All right, very good. Hearing no announcements, we'll move on to our mayor's report. I noticed that we did have a total of 10 items on the mayor's report, and I see Mr. Kennerson here this evening. Is there something you would like to present this evening, Mr. Kennerson?
I may have something on the report, but I'll let you get any questions.
Okay. I just saw you present, but council, we have those 10 items on the mayor's report. As usual, review them. Let me know if there's any issues, and hopefully we'll take a vote on these items on Tuesday. So just let me know if there are any issues, and if you have questions about these particular items, you may ask those questions on Tuesday and put them on the record, okay? Nothing's changed, usual course of business. All right, we'll move on now to our attorney's report. And I see that we have Attorney Madison here with us. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
And I see your items on report. Attorney Madison, for the interest of time, you can just tell us what's on the report. And then if someone has a question for you, they can ask. That way I think we could move through these items
Not a problem.
swiftly but diligently. All right.
Well,
Yes,
thank you,
sir.
President Young, and members of the council. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen in the audience, viewing audience, and in the council chambers. The first item on my report dated August 18, 2022 is Resolution R 245-21/22. That resolution is for funding the retiree longevity bonus, which we discussed somewhat last meeting, but there were some requested changes. Those changes have been made, and a piece of information that was requested. The change has been made, the information is prepared to be presented. It concerned, I think, a question about Councilwoman Thomas about Medicare and the eligible, the effective, and a retired individual accepting the bonus if they were on Medicare. The regulation, the protocol for that matter is not that individuals who are on Medicare are affected by the bonus. It's individuals on Medicaid. I contacted RSA's ERS section, the Employee Retirement System, and was told that's strictly Medicaid, and that individuals who are drawing Medicaid should elect to opt out of accepting the bonuses that could affect negatively their Medicaid benefits. And that was the long and short of that. Councilwoman Thomas.
And that's why I wanted to get the affected, the workers should know that they're retired workers, and that's why I wanted to. I knew I read it, and I wanted to be in there so that we all know.
And it is the responsibility of the worker, but they do need to know that
They do need to know.
provides it.
And I just know, from last time, we questioned where the funding source was and how we were gonna do it. And that's in the resolution indicates a line item. And we know that during the budget process, we will have to make sure that line item is properly funded. And it also says it's gonna do it in one lump sum. I think Councilman Thomas brought that up at the last meeting. Go ahead, Councilman Christopher.
We did request a list of all the retirees that's gonna be receiving these.
Yeah, and in the responses from the mayor, I think he said that they don't keep track with all the retirees when they retire. I think that was his response.
Well, how do we know who it's gonna go to?
That was what the response.
We gotta have a list. I mean, it's crunch time. And it needs to be voted on for Tuesday, but if we're not getting the information we're requesting, it makes it difficult to vote on something, when we're not getting that information.
Retirees prior to March.
Eligible retirees who have retired prior to March 1, 2022.
So it's going directly to those people.
And or their beneficiaries. You know, like when you work for the state, or I know you work for the city, you can designate a beneficiary too, so.
And we're doing this. I'm sorry, I get it back around. So,
That's a lot of money, if we don't know what we're doing.
and this is because they didn't qualify for something else, refresh my memory.
No, there are two organizations that sponsored this legislation in the state legislature, the retirees organization, and one other organization that's in the state stat, that's in the statute. And those organizations fought to give employees who have already retired prior to March 1 an additional bonus. And I imagine it's basically because rising cost of living and the organization fighting for it, that the legislation saw fit to do it. But the cities where those employees retire and other members of the retirement system that qualify had to make additional funding available because RSA is not going to fund the bonuses. The entities from which those individuals retire are basically funding the bonus.
And let me just say this, the response was, we lose track with them when they retire. But the fact, that doesn't really answer our question. And we'll have to, I guess, put this question back on whatever. The question is, provide us with the list of the retirees. And we ought to be able to know everybody that is working for Selma that this applies to. I think that's simple. I think that's a simple request. Council Secretary.
Maybe, I did say they're requesting salary and this year's and the monetary amount that we give each. That information comes more than 100% shared. It comes about benefits analysis. But I did also CC her in on that memorandum of the office, so she keeps all that information.
Well,
not just in
okay.
the attorney's office.
Well, Mr. Attorney, as I said before, you kind of have to work with everybody. You navigate this whole system, all branches. You work with all branches. And so, and I believe this is something you want us to act on. I think all of us want to act on it, but we have reservations because we haven't been supplied with just a list of retirees and beneficiaries, what Ms. Ellison stated. So we want to vote on this on Tuesday. And the normal course is we usually have to ask questions on Tuesday, and that would put it too late, too close for comfort. So since you work with all of these branches, if you could facilitate that, I think we could get an up or down vote on this.
I see your dilemma, and I just want to emphasize that the answer was not provided for that question by my office.
I understand.
I will do whatever due diligence is possible to get additional information if available. I'm pretty sure it came out of personnel or
Yes.
benefits.
And what we need to do is to make sure you get because maybe there was some miscommunication in the question, because the answer was just that we lose track. That doesn't answer the question. We understand, we don't expect the city to keep up with everybody's move when they retire. We just want to know the ones, that individuals that are retiring prior to March 1st, 2022, that this will apply to. That's essentially what we need.
And one reason is, I've had a couple of people approach me, about this, and I don't know if they're on the list or not.
Right. So it's just a simple, I don't even think we need to get into all of that. Now, some of you are going to disagree. I don't even think we need to get into all about beneficiaries. We just need to know what employees this applies to. What employees retired prior to March 1st, 2022, that this will apply to. We don't even know where they are. That's not our business. We just want to know
No amount, we don't even know that the number of people.
the number of people. And that's all we needed, right? Just the number of people, the list of people that this would apply to. And I think that's not a intrusive question. I think that's just a legitimate question. That way we'll know the number of people that this won't apply to our retirees. If you can facilitate that, that would be appreciated.
I'll see what I can do, President.
If not, we'll do the best that we can do.
I got it.
All right.
So I want to say, I did some little research on that too, and I found some information what you said. Under the legislative branch, because I was trying to figure out, this is money coming out of our general fund that we are paying. I thought I had it in here, but I will bring it tomorrow night, and I will let it pass it to each one of you, because this is very important. And this branch needs to be.
Just want to say, if this branch is voting to give out money, it should know who is voting to give that money to. I think that's just something, I don't think that's difficult. We need to know who we vote to give the taxpayers money to. I think that's something. Okay, and that is an operation of this branch of government, not a day-to-day operation. All right, let's move on to the next item, item number 2. That was a dilapidated, unsafe structures, resolution. Council, any questions for the attorney while we have him present? Go ahead, Councilwoman Jane Thomas.
Yes, Major Madison, the resolution that, I seen where you, requiring us to vote on, we never, I took a while looking for this. No, I didn't see where we voted for to demolish those homes that I took a vote on in my ward. I couldn't find that information. Only thing I seen where you had gave us a list where, grass cutting in, it was like, what, I can't get the word out.
Dilapidated structures.
Yeah, weed abatement and, nuisance of the property. Yeah, and that's what I see. So, I have a problem with voting for something that, has already been done, and we got the resolution, because we didn't get that, what you got in that resolution.
And I'm just gonna piggyback off of it.
Okay.
2513 Valley Creek Circle. This council, in a previous resolution, did vote for that property in regards to nuisance and weed abatement, just as Councilwoman Jane Thomas said. Did not vote to demolish that property. We voted for weed abatement and nuisance. Now, the problem here is we have been informed that maybe demolition has already started on this property. So, Mr. Attorney, we need to find out, has in fact demolition already started on this property?
On 2513, the answer,
Valley Creek Circle,
the answer is yes. And stopped, started and stopped.
yes. And the council did not vote to demolish this, correct?
That's not my understanding. I'm looking right now for the documentation. I asked for it to confirm that it was voted on. I'm looking at resolution R137-21, R137-21/22, dilapidated and unsafe structures, all wards, phase 2, declaring public nuisance and immediate abatement. The resolution was dated 25th January 2022 and signed by the council president and the mayor and attested to by the clerk. I've got a backup documentation, attachment 1, and I don't know if I've got 9 copies of that, but I can pass this around for you to review it. The backup documentation shows 2513 Valley Creek Circle on this list.
Did you read?
So we
Demolished on the first page?
it didn't help. We didn't get
Say demolished.
It says dilapidated and unsafe structures, all wards, phase 2.
But it doesn't say demolish.
It doesn't say the amount.
It doesn't say, because otherwise it would be on this next resolution.
No.
If that resolution could have demolished it, why would we be voting on it again to demolish it?
Well, there are 3 phases. You're not voting again on 2513. You're voting on some properties that were provided as
Attorney Madison, yes, we are voting again on 2513. It's on here. It's included with the other properties. So the resolution that's been presented to us right now, resolution R248-21/22 lists
I'm
several properties.
sorry, it does appear. And it
It includes that property.
It appears with the cost of properties to be demolished, because I was asked to furnish those properties as well. And it reads phase 3. The resolution I just read reads phase 2. So what I'm saying is the code enforcement office has its protocol where it's presented first to be placed on the list, second to request demolition once the 45-day notice is sent. And then third, phase 3 is basically winding up with all the properties that haven't already been cleared.
I get another understanding. I don't believe phase 2, the previous resolution that we voted on, the one that you mentioned, 137, that didn't say the city council authorized for that property to be demolished. It did.
Well, paragraph 3, just a minute, please. Paragraph 3 in the whereas section reads, whereas said notices were sent by certified mail by the city clerk of the city of Selma, return receipt requested, notifying each property owner and further advising that said property owner had 45 days in which to rectify the condition of said property, or if required by the code enforcement officer, demolish the structure. Each property owner shall have their right to appeal to the city council, Selma City Council, within 10 days after the receipt of said letter, if they desire to contest the findings of the code enforcement officer that that property is a dangerous building and or a nuisance.
But still, even after they're said that, whether they fail to respond to us or whether they do respond to us before demolition starts in the past, we've been voting on resolutions that demolish them. That, as that title of that resolution reads, it doesn't read that it's going to be demolished. It's declaring it a nuisance and for we to make.
You're saying you're looking for the word demolition in the topic.
In the topic, and with what it's just telling them now, if they don't do this, then it could be demolished. But it doesn't say that it would be definitely upon a vote of the Selma City Council. Before that property is actually demolished, this council should vote to demolish.
I think you have, Council President. We just have a disagreement.
Yeah.
And to be it further resolved, the last paragraph of the resolution.
Because again, and I'm sorry.
States that the last paragraph states, be it further resolved that code enforcement is hereby ordered to proceed with demolition and destruction of properties listed on attachment 1, and that if said property owners and or their authorized agents fail to demolish the dangerous buildings, the city of Selma shall move forward to rectify the dangerous building in accordance with the law.
Okay, if that's the case, then we don't have to vote on this property on this next phase.
I would agree with that, but I'm disagreeing with the fact that you didn't approve the demolition of the structure.
I still don't think that phase actually vote is a vote from the council saying that we approve for that property to be demolished. I would like for you to pass it out to us again, provide that to us.
I'll show you now and pass it out again.
Madam President, my question was gonna be, is the demolition resolution different in word from, declaring a nuisance? Or we debate? Is it a difference in the wording? I mean, because from what you just read, for that phase 2 and phase 3, those are the same words in both
Right.
resolutions. So what is the difference?
My understanding of the dilapidated structures ordinance states that the city has the right to destroy, to insist on the correction of any defect in a structure or demolish it themselves. The homeowner, property owner, has a responsibility to correct any deficiency in the building or structure or demolish it. And if they don't, the city can and will. And I see no dissonance or disentanglement from the 3 phases with what I just said.
Well, if that's the case, again, if this resolution, R 137-21/22, if this gives the city the authorization to demolish, then there's no need for it to be in this next.
I've said I agree with you on that point. There was a question raised by the homeowner, and I don't know if that was in and of itself enough to put it back on the list, but there was a question raised by the homeowner of whether or not they were ever given notice. I even tracked down what I thought was a problem with the notice and spoke with both the code enforcement officer and Mr. Hicks, and documentation was provided showing where the notice was delivered to the home. I even talked with the owner of the structure, and she said that she was still picking up mail at the home. She had 2 animals still being kept at the home. So the post office postmaster general here signed notification of delivery of the notice, certified return receipt to that address. And I'm pretty sure that just about everything, if not everything we've done complies with the ordinance.
Now, Councilman Richard Thomas asked a question about whether or not was there a difference in the language in each resolution. And Councilwoman Christie Thomas, there is a difference in the language. In the language of the resolution that we already voted on, R137, it provides, be it further resolved, that code enforcement is hereby ordered to proceed with demolition and destruction of property listed on attachment 1, and that if said property owners and or their authorized agents fail to demolish the dangerous building, the city of Selma shall move forward in rectifying the dangerous building in accordance with the law. That is the resolution that we already voted on. Now, in the resolution that has been proposed to us, that is before us, resolution R248-21/22, it says in its final paragraph, be it further resolved that the mayor is hereby authorized and directed to cause said building or structures to be demolished and removed.
All right.
The demolition may be accomplished by the municipality by the use of its own forces, or it may be provided by contract for the demolition. The municipality may sell or otherwise dispose of salvaged materials. Now, what we have here, the language in the proposed resolution before us is definitely direct, because we know in this resolution, it provides what the mayor is authorized to do. It's direct cause said building structures to be demolished and removed. That's what this provides for. Now, one could argue in this one that it could be possibly that this gives authorization, but we know under this one that it does. We have two not quite contradictory resolutions. One language goes to let us know that it's definitely supposed to be demolished. The other one's a little bit vague.
I understand your question and concern, but what I'm saying is the council is given permission in each of the resolutions to demolish the structure. The mayor's demolition, the mayor's giving approval for the demolition only is ministerial when you think about the fact that the legislative body's already approved demolition, which is the same issue we've had before. It's
I think that we need to look into this a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to contradict ourselves.
That's your prerogative. I don't have a problem with that.
That's just me, because again, the language in this one, we know what's going to happen. There's a little vagueness in this one. And then the fact, like you said, that it was stopped, the demolition was stopped on this particular property. Why was it stopped?
Because the owner was saying she didn't get notice. And I was saying a few minutes ago that from the investigation I did, well, it was in a conjunction with what the Office of Code Enforcement Director provided, shows that notice was effective.
Okay. And you see, it places the council in a very difficult position, because if we have taxpayers that are coming to us saying they get notice, it would have been great to have already voted on, on the proposed before they started demolition.
Well, that's why the process was halted in large part, and why I did refer.
That's what caused us issues, because we have these citizens that contact us.
I totally get that.
Angry with
I
us.
totally get that.
And again, we weren't clear that it was going to be demolished. So that's the problem right there. Okay. Anybody else have anything to say on this? Go ahead, Councilman Thomas.
My last to say, because these houses in my ward, and I know all of these taxpayers that pay taxes on them. And one of them is out of Florida, Gamma. This Mrs. May Ford, she's CEO of her mother property. The mother is deceased, and it was a burnt home, and it was like loose, and they were talking about getting it clean. But she stated that she never received any letter or anything, and y'all clean her property up in one like that. Just clean the house off, it's cleaned off. And she still haven't received anything. What she did say, if you send her a bill, she will be I let them know that this council, Representative Ward 7, is not capable on doing this.
And further, this resolution, the one voted on already, it just goes to code enforcement. And the one that's proposed directs the mayor, who has the authority to actually demolish the property. Do we just give code enforcement that authority, or does that authority come from the mayor?
That's a question that I don't have a ready answer to. I have a supposition, but I don't want to make suppositions here. What I want to emphasize, though, is that there are 3 phases to the process of weed abatement and the demolition of dilapidated structures. That's why you're voting more than once. The statute requires those phases. It doesn't have to, you don't have to call them 1, 2, and 3, you can call ABC or whatever. But the statute requires those phases. My greater concern is always notice, because if you don't get notice to the property owner, you don't have an effective process. You don't have an effective process, period. Weed abatement or code or dilapidated structures demolition. Notice has always been my main concern. I told everybody that I'm dealing with in the city administration. Notice to these people is the key to an effective dilapidated structures demolition or cutting people's grass and slapping a lien on their property. If they don't get notice, just as in any case in a court of law, if you don't get notice to a party, you don't have a case. And the work that we're doing with weed abatement and demolition, it means you have done something that you pretty much can't undo once you slap somebody's property down.
Right.
I get that. That's why I went back, and my greater concern here was not whether or not this property, 2513, had been included on a list. It was whether or not we ever gave notice to the proper party to begin with. And from what I saw in documentation, we did.
But us voting is a part of the process.
Of course. We can't have the process either
And
without
one could
the council's
easily,
vote.
logically determine, 1, 2, and 3. Phases 1, phase 2, and phase 3 should have been completed before you start demolishing the property. And we didn't get phase 3 until the demolition had already started taking place. That, to me, is a procedural breakdown. Go ahead, Madam Secretary.
We can find out, I mean, is it the certified letter? Someone would have signed for that notice, they would have received notice. If they didn't sign that, they would sign back, so.
I had a case this morning where we placed off the service.
What it say?
It just say L card 12/8/21.
If they receive or didn't come back.
L card.
Where is that at?
That's in that.
Oh, this. I don't see. You go ahead. Mr. Ashton.
Information to you all just because I received a call from Mr. Heath. Had I not received a call from Mr. Heath, with the resident being upset by her property being torn down, I would not have went to the property to take pictures of it to see what was going on, because she was saying council tore her house down without her leaving. Had it been voted on and approved, Mr. Heath would have never called me and said anything about it. And the police was called according to Mr. Heath. So I only alarmed you all because it was alarm to me, and what I went and saw, and what I seen was a property that's torn down, and Mr. Heath said they get started and something, and they was upset. Other than that, I wanna run y'all with.
And, go ahead, Councilman James.
I just want to know who authorized the start and who authorized the stop. When you just said, Mr. Heath told me that they started, as a matter of fact, he even said that the son was out there upset when the gun and told him to put the house back together. But if you all look at the pictures that I sent to y'all collectively, you would see that more than half of that house is torn down. Oh, but the mailbox is still intact. I took a picture of the mailbox and the address so they can see the mail. I didn't see an camera on site when I was out there.
And later, Mr. Turner, you can help me, because even on the signature panel, there in, I can't read the writing, that's not necessarily the signature. It's got in the printed name, it says received.
It's not the signature. LaShonda Carter, what I was expressing to you earlier was what I was told out in investigators. And that was that the postmaster here in Selma has delivered certified return receipt mail to addresses before. And when there was no one present or seemingly available, that this was considered a legitimate delivery to that address of certified mail return receipt.
Well, that way you don't need to be certified.
Because to be honest, this doesn't, and this is not for all of me, but this doesn't indicate that the taxpayer actually receives, because it's not her signature.
Well,
Someone else, I mean, I know the post office is saying
what I'm told,
Yeah.
they consider that delivery.
they consider it delivered,
Yeah.
but it doesn't.
No, not just delivery, notice, consider that official notice.
I think,
Go ahead.
I think we're mixing up two things too. The burden on the city is to give notice. The burden on the city is not to receive signature certified. If we send certified mail, dodging the certified mail doesn't mean that your house ain't going to that. We have to give proper notice. And I think that suffices proper notice. Obviously, this whole procedure needs to be revamped. These are the things that we need to be spending our time. Excuse me, these are the things the executive branch needs to spend time on, and not some of this other crazy chasing chickens around. That's just not.
And again, there needs to be clarity. Who can authorize a property to be demolished? The code enforcement do it, and the mayor. That's creating confusion for everybody out there. And we're all confused. And the steps that you laid out earlier, I don't know if those steps, the ordinance I looked at just didn't quite say it just like that. But perhaps we need to do those steps. We need to go back and maybe update to make sure we got those steps correctly in ordinance form
That's quite possible.
to prevent this. And I do understand what Councilman Harville said about it's not our responsibility. Now, if this is the case, yes, it's my burden to make sure that something is served. That's my responsibility from the legal aspect. But when we're dealing with taxpayers and citizens, we have an equity piece in this, where we gotta try to be fair to people. And I think that's why we've got so many different steps, because before you can go tear somebody's house down, you gotta show that you've gone through a lot of hoops, because our homes are the greatest asset that we possibly have. And so that's why I guess we have to go through so many different hoops to make sure it's done. But I'm not going to belabor the point, because we got other
But please
items.
give me
Go ahead
30
and
seconds,
finish up.
30 seconds, I can do it. in 30
Okay.
seconds. Both, you're right, Councilman Harville, about the notice issue. The executive branch has done far more than I thought we needed to do in trying to suppress just this very thing. We can get the department heads in to explain that more. And I think once you're shown what else is going on, that possible revision of the process may be needed. But there is a ton of work going on behind the scenes, I assure you, and we can bring that documentation.
And let's be clear, not trying to point fingers at anybody, just trying to get it right.
Correct.
That's what we're trying to do, is get it right. So that when they do come and ask us, we know what's going on. Because right now, we're confused. And I know we're confused. I know homeowners are confused. And so we've got to do better, because legislation is what we're responsible for. So we need to pass something so that we won't have this problem again. And we need to know when we're passing a resolution, who has the authority to do what.
I'm 100% willing to do everything needed to get it better.
We appreciate it.
And I just want to make another comment too. One of the things they do in Montgomery is they don't only send certified mail notices. They also physically put, I don't know.
Yeah.
Put a sign in the yard, they put a notice on the side of the house. I mean, it is full public disclosure of what's going on,
They do.
and they don't mess around.
And even we do that, like when a car is on the side of the street or something, before we take it away, we put a big sign on there saying this is gonna be towed in so many days or whatever. And so that, Councilman Harville, I think would help, especially like if a person's not living here,
The neighbor sees
a neighbor will see it, call you up in Florida and say, Girl, they couldn't take off there, you know, or whatever. So let's try to do a better job.
And I just got one
Go ahead.
more question. If, are so, and I don't have this issue in my ward, I mean, I think I have one house that probably needs something. But do we, citywide, are some of these properties state-owned properties?
Not these,
I
not
don't
the
know about
ones
these
that we
No, I'm not
got.
talking about these, I'm talking, are there state, and there's a. portion
Yes,
of
there are
them
plenty
Yes.
of
Okay. that need to be
demolished.
condemned and demolished. Okay,
Yes.
well, why don't we do this? I think it would be wise from a revenue, from cleaning stuff up and a revenue. I know where you go. Is to put these on the top of the list, demolish them, put a lien on them, and force the sale of the asset.
Well, the last item on my agenda is aimed at doing and starting that process.
And I'm gonna get to that. We're all on the same page. Okay,
I agree with you.
okay. Now, let's move on to the next items. And Mr. Attorney, I'm gonna have to move it fast. The next couple of items, we have item number three,
4, 5,
4,
3, 4, 5, 3, 4, and 5, because there are
3, 4, and 5.
2 properties.
All concern sales of properties. That's what all of those next ones concern. Go ahead, Councilwoman
My
Thomas.
question on before I vote on this, I read your resolution. The property that you are selling, is this a back tax property? Or is this state property? Or is abandoned? You're selling abandoned property or you selling?
You asked for the pictures will show you.
I seen the pictures, but my concern is, I seen your pictures. But for me to take a vote on this here, the procedures of you, is this state property we selling or is it back?
I don't know that any of this is state property, but I'll have to get Mr. Rover to help me with that. I can get you that answer, Councilwoman Thomas.
Sir?
I have to get you that answer from Mr.
And
Rover.
then the reason why I asked you, because there are procedures, if we sell a property, that this council, I know you wrote a resolution. And, I just want, before I vote on this, I want to get a good, clear understanding.
I don't think we're selling any state property, but I'll get you an answer confirming that.
So we're selling our own property.
That's my understanding, and I'll get you an answer to confirm that is what I say.
It's not state property.
That's your answer.
It says property.
City owned property.
Okay. So
Yeah,
you
I was led to believe none of this was state-owned property. And it just,
Uh-huh.
I was led to believe that none of this was state property, and that's what Mr. Roper just
So
said.
we're getting the assets, we had everything done to say that we can sell this property for $3,000 or something. Because it never came, my concern is why I vote on it. Well, this property is being sold as city property. And each one that you got like 3,000 of it. And I'm saying, how did we come to that? Because we didn't get anything, all we got was what you showed us the picture of the property and the amount that is being sold. Was this property being done like the procedure of it's supposed to be done to be sold?
Yes, yes.
So you do have documentation on record.
I'm not sure what documentation you're asking about. We're following the same procedures that we follow.
I think you do know what I'm talking about. You are attorney, and when it comes to selling city assets, there are procedures in place that require for this legislature to vote on, and that we have met the requirement that you selling city property.
I'm saying the requirements are met.
Well, okay, you
Yeah.
said, okay, thank you.
Yes, well, you're asking me, so I'm speaking for myself.
Let me ask a question. I see all these properties that are up for sale. I understand that. I guess my question is, for these properties like these that are available for sale, do we have all these properties listed somewhere where anybody can go, any taxpayer citizen can go and buy these properties? How are these individuals, how do they know that these properties were for sale?
I believe there is a list online, and there's other ways to find out.
Do we have a list on our website
I didn't see one when I looked.
that indicates it?
There is a list, I've been told by a couple of individuals before, not these individuals here,
Okay.
that they found the properties online, I think on our website.
Good, tax,
Good evening, council.
good evening.
So there are properties that are online. The properties that are online are actually tax delinquent properties. So you'll find those on the website. You also-
On the city of Selma.
Yeah, on the city of Selma website. And when you go to the website, there's a blue button. When you go to the property tax, you scroll down, there's a blue button. And when you click it, it'll have all the tax delinquent properties. Next to it, you'll see a red button that has all the state delinquent properties. These particular properties, the reason they are up for sale is because a citizen has come in and wanted to buy the property. What they did, their process was they went to the courthouse, found out who owns the property, they figured out that it was the city of Selma, and they came over and made an offer on the property. And so today, what they're seeking is, will we sell the property and what is the amount? And so the proposed amount comes off of just like on Zillow, off of the national standard of what the appraisal is. And so that's, these are the recommended amounts to sell the property, but the amount will come from you guys on how much you choose to move forward or not. But ultimately, each one of the documents that's associated with the property, it shows that we don't have a current use for it. We have no projected future use. It's going through planning and development, and it's not a part of the future land bank or anything. And so at this point, if you approve it, we'll proceed with sale. If not, then we won't. But ultimately, the price, the amount, all those things have to come from the council. And that follows the procedure.
I'm glad that it's on our website. That's important. I know the way the state works. The state has its properties listed on the website, but they also on the website have it where a person can go on the website and they can offer for it. And then in so many hours, the state reviews those offers. It comes back to you to let you know whether they're going to accept that or if they're asking for more. I think that the state has done well with that. And that may be something we want to include to get more revenue in the future. Is having as good as the properties are already listed on. But let's be honest, we want to get as much revenue as we can for the property. And so I think that it would be something to look into, doing what the state does, actually give them an opportunity to provide us with a number, and then we can get back to them. I think that might, it worked, like I said, it's worked well for the state.
And Mr. President,
Councilman Thomas.
also it has a section about sale of city property under section 1143-56. It requires us to tell what you ask for, who gives authority is there. So if any citizen want to look it up, they will see how the process, how it can be done. Under section 11-4356, go without that.
Okay, all right, so we have these properties listed in all these resolutions that has been presented to us by the tax collector and the attorney. Are there any more questions about these specific properties? Yes, Councilman Thomas.
I wanted to ask a question, because he said that these properties are listed on the website. You mentioned talking about a red button. Where is that on the list? I mean, what does it indicate?
On the red button, on the, when you go to the property taxes, that indicates all the state properties. So.
Okay, so there's a blue,
Yeah, the blue button,
and then there's a
shows,
red.
yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the blue is just for,
City owned.
city. So on that particular list are just the delinquent property. It does not, so anybody that's looking at the list can just choose a property and call you all to see if you all, what are you gonna do?
Yes, ma'am. Good question, because it can be confusing. There's 3 different types of properties. Of course, we have the state owned. You got the city, solely owned by the city, and then the tax delinquent properties. And so with a tax delinquent property, anyone can show up downstairs and pay the amount and choose to go through what's called the redemption process. And so that those properties can be sold and it won't come upstairs for any level of consideration. But the ones we're talking about, these are solely owned by the city. They're a city asset, and so that's why they have to come up here for price and also in terms of the agreement. So
So, so these particular properties are city properties.
Yes,
They're
ma'am.
not on the delinquent list. So there is not a list for city property.
There's a list. If you refer to the mayor's report, a part of the mayor's report that was sent, I'm sorry, not
And on
the
the
mayor's.
website.
Oh, not on the website.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Not-
So, there isn't, okay, I thought there was a list.
It's not.
There's,
The tax delinquent properties, when you go to the website, the tax delinquent properties are listed on the website.
okay,
The city tax delinquent properties are listed on the website. The state delinquent properties are listed on the website. The way the property that you have in front of you came about is a citizen, similar to how Mr. West came and wanted to buy property. It came in that same manner, and that's why I was brought up here, for consideration. So,
okay. So these properties that we're voting on tonight, were they on the website?
no, sir.
Why weren't they on the website?
Because all we have on the website are the city tax delinquent properties and the state delinquent properties. Any property, just like City Hall, is not listed on the website. We can list it on the website in the future, but I'm saying it has not been listed on the website.
And this goes back, to what I'm saying, I think you follow now.
Yes,
Anything that we have that we're going to sell should be publicly posted so that everybody has a chance. Because that's the whole thing. We're about fairness. We want everybody to have the opportunity, and not to have things go over their heads. And so that's why I was saying initially, anything that we possibly sell, whether they're delinquent properties from us or from the state, or active properties that we're considering selling, anything that we consider selling needs to be publicly posted. I think that's only fair to everybody. Go ahead, Councilman
And
Thomas.
Mr. President, they are on the list, the previous list that I had, that we, the city owned, that we got. I told I want to share with y'all. I have that list and I looked on there. Those are city property. And they are on that list that the city owns.
Yes, ma'am. But I'm just about,
I share with y'all.
okay, I just wanted, it's good that we know, but we want everybody to know. Because and the reason I'm cautious about this is, if you work in city government like we do, or someone else, if one were greedy, one could keep everything to themselves and go out and hold out property and not tell everybody. I think we've heard stories, but this is a different group that's coming in. Transparency, fairness. And so now we want everybody, all the public to know these properties are available. Everybody deserves a fair shot, even to buy. If they're a taxpaying citizen and they've been paying their taxes, they deserve an opportunity to buy. And that's all I'm simply saying is make it accessible to everybody. But I'm gonna ask for these properties that are before us now, we're gonna need to act on this. So we can do whatever we're gonna do about it. But in the future, I would like to place this as another item under our revenue committee. Because this is revenue that the city could actually acquire. We could get the best bang for our buck. We need to. We're gonna put that on the revenue committee agenda. Any more questions about these three resolutions dealing with these properties? Any questions? Okay, let's move on. Mr. Attorney, I think the next resolution dealt with the gift.
Item number 5, number 6 is the gift of 2911 Hardy Avenue to the city of Selma. And that's just for whether or not you want to make an up or down vote on it.
And this has been before us before. I think we asked a question. And you or somebody asked
Yes, what they.
what they're gonna do with
What
it.
they gonna use.
And I think we got like a response, saying we did not know exactly what the use was gonna be. It had been plain use yet. I think, but the question was asked and it was answered. It was answered. So this has been pending for a while. So we have this before us to vote on whether we accept this donation or we don't. Councilman Hall.
I personally think we got enough. I think we have enough pieces for our
We can vote or go down. All right, that's that item. And then the next one was the Wi-Fi terms and conditions for use. That were presented, policy that was presented by the attorney.
It's attached there, Mr. I read it, obviously. I read it, and it seems a very general statement for an end user of city network or internet or technology, that some policy is needed. This is being presented as a general and effective policy for now, without any questions. If you have questions.
And personally, I'm glad that we're coming up with the Wi-Fi usage policy. A lot of other cities that I've seen, they have Wi-Fi usage policy. And I see you, Mr. Peterson, before you say, this is what I had a recommendation, I'm looking at this. We're trying to create structure, much needed structure. And it's been working. Sometimes a little harder than others. I would like to recommend for the Wi-Fi terms and conditions for use policy that we send this to the administrative committee because it's a policy. And allow, yes, ma'am. And at that committee, Mr. Kennerson, you can present it then, and the committee will make a recommendation to the council.
It's gonna be Monday.
Okay, well, all right. Yeah. So you get the fast track, Mr. Kennerson. Fast track. Thank you, Councilman Thomas.
As well,
Yeah, yes, okay.
importance.
And again, you'll have this opportunity at Monday. Go ahead.
Agreed, but since we're live and
Okay.
Five points, well,
what we need this for, because of current policy and our current rules and regulations for the May 5th, 2015 edition does not have anything in the internet usage policy part about that. And it's another thing I'm going to bring into the administrative committee as well.
Well, since you said that, do you know that they're not putting something in the new book?
I'm not quite familiar or,
Let's
I know they're working on it, so, but this was my reasoning for even bringing this to, because we do need this. Because as you know, last administration, they started with the Wi-Fi project downtown. I'll continue that, it was 1G back in 2019, now we're up to 4G speeds less than 3 years later. So, but having people on our Wi-Fi network, it's not an internet usage policy. One thing that the downtown Wi-Fi will provide is access for tourism. So, like you go to New York, they have downtown Wi-Fi. I'm trying to expand that for our tourism, also bring in businesses. But we have to have conditions and permissions and conditions of use. So the city will not be responsible for the traffic, even though we're securing the internet for our city and making sure that things are secure. Even when you go to a hotel, for example, you have the Wi-Fi there, you have that screen caps, that capital portal. That's what it's called, capital portal, where you have to agree to those terms and conditions. And this will be part of our capital portal for the city of Selma Wi-Fi. So we need to have this in place so it'll be official.
Okay, and we will discuss this at committee
That's right.
on Monday. Anytime, and I think that's something we need to understand. When we have things like policies from any department, not just this, they need to go through a committee structure. I think that creates consistency and cuts down confusion. Okay, so Monday, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right.
4:35.
Okay. Oh, she'll let you know. Thank you. She'll let you know. Thank you, Councilwoman Christie Thomas, for fast tracking. And then, I know,
We
right?
got a committee meeting.
We're there.
We got a budget meeting Monday. We
Okay.
got a committee meeting
We
Monday.
got 2 meetings Monday now. Okay, and then item number 8 for you, attorney, was the land bank authority ordinance.
Right.
And this gave me a lot of joy. I enjoyed reading it. I enjoyed researching how Birmingham has a land bank authority, how Gadsden has a land bank authority. I enjoyed all of that, and also looking at some code section work. What I would like to do with this one, and what I'm recommending, because this is a ordinance, this is something big. I believe before something is done like that, it too needs to go through committee. And we have a revenue committee. And I would like to recommend that the ordinance concerning 0113-2122, unless there's an objection, that we put this in revenue committee, to be heard at our next, revenue committee, and then we can have a full, robust discussion on, this, and also the creation of the board and everything. That'll give everybody time to go through it. So is there any objection in sending this to committee?
No,
Okay. We could.
And,
so we just said,
and I'm through. I want to make a comment. I was going to suggest, because this is a lot of information
It is.
in the ordinance, that you not even try to vote on it too.
I
That
appreciate
you
it.
take time to digest it, get your questions together. Committee is as good a place as any, maybe the best place, and then shoot back whatever questions you have. Then it can be represented for a vote.
And for me, I have to look at it, I have some recommendations that I would like to, I'm not gonna get into it now, but I love the concept. And I just have some recommendations, regarding, this ordinance. And we could have done it in a resolution if we want to. But Birmingham did, and that's, maybe there's a form of
Yes, you did.
resolution.
Yes, you
But
did.
the city of Selma has its boards listed ordinance side. And so either way it's fine. But anyway,
And just for your further enlightenment, I spent 2 hours talking to the director of the Birmingham Land Bank Authority. She presented at the only.
I have a very good friend that currently serves on the board, Joel Gardner. And so, good discussion.
I think you're taking the right stride,
All right.
the right steps.
So we're putting this one in committee as well, to be heard. I think that's all the things under your report.
That's everything, Mark.
Excellent day.
And
Okay, so let's move.
I'm gonna ask for a 2-minute excuse.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Turner. All right, so let's move on to the business items. Just remember, Councilman Johnson would like, to discuss an update on Fish Pond, an update on Pinkins Pool, and he'll discuss those more on Tuesday. All right, and then Councilwoman Thomas, you got the next 1, 2, 3.
I just want to
4.
follow up. I tell them tonight, because it's been a delay. These people are asking for follow-up. I ain't getting nowhere, so I need to, tell them Tuesday night, we expect some. They don't need to talk about it tonight.
Yes, ma'am.
Same thing, we'll talk about it Tuesday night.
Thank you.
And read the letter, and read the letters that I got.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Okay, thank you, Councilman Thomas. All right, so now we'll move on, Councilman Carmichael. Even when I see his name, I still call him Harvey. Yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Councilman Carmichael, is going to discuss the travel funds budget amendment. He'll discuss that on Tuesday as well. Any committees want to report at this time, or you can wait till Tuesday?
I'll wait till
Okay.
Go ahead. I know it doesn't matter, procedure.
Is that the air? I thought it was the air conditioner. Yeah. This,
I was Thursday.
yeah.
they go back,
Gas.
they go back. We talked about it.
There's gonna be a change to the schedule on Monday. Would you agree to that, Ms. Lee? We're moving the recreation department to the end, and we're gonna move, if you would tell us who we're gonna cover Monday. I mean, we-
Cemetery and building inspector office.
What is that, salary? Or
No,
that's
that's
just a fixed?
The department.
Just the expense.
Okay.
Good job of pick that, so we can, yeah, August 24th is gonna be public buildings, code enforcement, cemetery and building inspector. Departments. So we're moving August 29th day to August 24th day. And we take a recreation and move it into the September 6th day.
So, Ms. Christie, we do not have budget. We
So
don't have-
it's all yours. It's all yours.
It's all-
So who's gonna be here?
Well, one of the reasons I was gonna do it Monday is I was gonna invite, Attorney Chestnut to come to that meeting. And that was the only day he can do it.
Okay, we got
I don't know what it is.
He's busy. Yeah.
So that's the budget schedule. Also, it's anybody know, part of our discussion in the budget process, debt service. We got to do the debt that we're gonna have to start servicing next year, which was the contribution that was voted on, where the city of Selma would give some $10–11 million to the retirement system. I would like to know who currently who holds that debt. About anybody currently holds it.
Put it on the record.
Yeah.
Tuesday for the question.
Good. Yeah, I would like to know who holds it. Also, I'm going to request some details on the recreation. I would like to know what parks or properties upkeeps. I would like to know what sport programs, recreation department responsible for. Now, certainly, I'm just requesting that I get committee gets this to review ahead of budget discussion. That's everything.
Can you,
No, I haven't heard that. Let me try somebody else.
All right, any other committees? Any other committees? All right, any committees that need to report on Tuesday, please be advised and may report at that time. Council, we have a discretionary fund request going around for the George Evans Golf Classic. That's something that we participate in, so please fill that out and we'll vote on that on Tuesday as well. Anything else at this time? Anything else? There being no further business of the Selma City Council.
So let's announce, let's make this announcement, since we have a good business owner here, want to congratulate our,
Mrs. Gary. Congratulations. She's downtown, up and running, and we're so proud.
What's the name of the business?
Tell the name of your business.
Gab and Grant.
I didn't want to mess it up. That's it. All right, congratulations. There being no further business, this meeting stands adjourned.
yeah, it's really good food.
Good to see you, sir.
Thank you.